Today, I'm joined by Uttara that will teach us some great lessons about education. And more than anything, I think it's about the relationship between a teacher and a parent and a student. The concept that you want to be there for them, but you don't want to be their friends. You want to be the borderlines, the safety net, but don't be their friend. I think you just love it. Enjoy. Hi, Uttara. Thank you for joining me today.
Namaste. Pleasure. It's completely my pleasure.
Thank you. So, Uttara, I always start with the same question. How did you become an educator?
So, I've been somebody who's always been very fond of reading and learning. So, as a learner and as a reader, I think it came very naturally to me to progress towards teaching. It happened by chance. I'll definitely not say that it was a choice or it was a very conscious decision. It happened by chance. I was free, I was at home, and there was a play school that opened close to my house. And I just walked in, and before I knew it, I was in a class of nursery with lots of children, and I just realized that I love them. And, being around them, the energy, the interaction, the love, the care. And from there, it just kind of progressed. And then I joined a bigger school. I took on more responsibility, started teaching more, higher classes, senior grades. And it just went on from there. And I never looked back. And I have no regret. I love being a teacher and I love being with children. And I think it's the best thing that could have happened to me.
And what about the move from, so you're describing a move from like literally the little kids to the older kids, being in love with education, being in love with the children. What about the change into like a principal, like the bigger picture, which is different?
Yes. So, as a teacher, I was, I wouldn't call myself ambitious, very honestly. I am very happy doing whatever I'm doing. Today also, if you put me in a classroom, I'm the happiest. And even now, like my de-stress is to go into a nursery children's class and just, be with them, dance with them, play with them, hold them. But as I kind of grew in my profession and as I took on more responsibilities, first as a supervisor, as a coordinator, I realized that I am good with people. I have that skill set, or I'll say that innate intuitive kind of connection with people. And I think leadership is all about handling people, isn't it? And about understanding people, about providing solutions, about being able to create spaces where, people are happy and can do their jobs to their best. So keeping all that in mind, I got an opportunity. I took on the role as principal at the Sri Ram Millennium School, Noida. That was my first job as a principal. I've been there for the last 15 years. Now, today, I'm the director for my 3 schools. And I just feel that administration, it's just you're teaching slightly bigger kids.
I love it. I can see the different principals, coming to your room and say, we will start with the dance.
Yes, we do that often.
See, I already knew how it's going. Now, you've seen education evolve, right? Like you when you started, we didn't have so much social media and phones and temptations and fake news and fake information and AI and all that. And I'm sure you saw the benefits for education and also the threats to education. So what do you see as the challenges that we are facing right now and also the opportunities?
So, yes, the opportunities are many, very definitely. We are a more connected world. We have information at our fingertips from across the world. Knowledge, I think for anybody who wants to learn, there is no limitation. You have, everything there. Provided you can get the right kind of information, obviously, and that is where the human intervention comes in, where teachers are very important to guide the children to the right kind of information. But definitely this whole social media and this entire world is, I very often call it a parallel world. There is one real world that we live in and there is one virtual world that we live in. And truly, I feel today anybody who has a phone is living in these two worlds. Now, the balance between the two, I feel, is most important. As children, especially, I do feel that the influence of the virtual world is far more overpowering than the influence of the real world. It is leading to isolation. It is leading to, being more connected again virtually rather than in real time. Those things are worrisome for me as an educator, as somebody who's dealing with children. I hear, the kind of access they have to things that they should not have, the exposure they have at a very young age, where maybe the understanding of that hasn't developed to the depth that it should have. So those are the things is where I feel adults today need to be more involved with their children. Finally speaking, I'm still old school, where I feel that children follow you when they see you doing what you want them to do. Right. So if as parents we are constantly on our phones and we expect our children to be reading a book, I think it is a goal which is absolutely impossible. So the change has to come from adults who are dealing with children, but along with a balance. You cannot deny screens anymore. You cannot say that's again, trying to create an utopian society which doesn't exist. Screens are a part of our life, and there's so many advantages. I mean, we couldn't be doing this if we didn't have a screen, isn't it? So there are lots of advantages to learning virtually, to being there virtually. But I think we have to create the balance. We have to give the children the right information, and at times have policies which are non-negotiable, especially in schools. I'm again a firm believer that when children understand rules and consequences, they tend to follow them better. And more importantly, when they make the rules themselves and they are, partners in that process, I think we have a better chance of getting it done.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying, because I see with my kids, especially the older ones now, which are like 18 and 19, and they will come to me and they will say, okay, put your phone away. We're having dinner now and there's no phones on the table. So that comes from them. There is an element that they also see the danger of the digital, and it's exactly what you say, because they already see it. They see, for example, the impact that phones have on their friends and on themselves, and they even ask for a certain moderation, but it needs to be in line with reality. I have a very good example in my head of a child that comes and say, I see the danger that the phones create to my friend, but his mom's reaction saying no phones is actually accelerating the problem and not solving it. And the other thing that you said that I want to make sure we don't miss it, clearly the access to information, to every type of education, from the best courses in Harvard to anything you want, became available, and it's free, and it's available to every person on planet Earth that have clearly access to computers and the internet. And therefore, the role of the teachers and the adults and the children is to target the people to the right type of information. I think that's the kind of the essence of what you're saying. And if I want to take it to advices to parents, and I'll give you the classic example. I've been involved with education for many years now, always at the top level. We can see it with BriBooks and other. And I met a lot of this type of helicopter parents and parents that are, we definitely want our kids to do whatever they feel. If they want to do dancing and everything, but it needs to be a GPA, and they need to go to a certain university. I might be even one of those my parents myself. And then the question is like, how to advise parents to really find the ability, because it's a different world. Like clearly, if somebody right now becomes the best YouTuber in the world, it's by far more interesting than having the perfect score in, I don't know, physics. But for my generation, it was like, no way. How do you handle this as a parent? Because you eventually want to protect your children, you wish them well, but many times when we wish them well and we try to protect them, we actually hurt them. So how do you, and you interact with them all the time. I wonder just how do you do it?
Yes, so I definitely feel that today parents, especially the younger parents, are much more aware about the world in general. Also, there is that thought of not going down the grades path of wanting children to be toppers, and my child has to be the best at everything, and let's send him to multiple classes, and he should be a singer, a dancer, a soccer player, a musician, and everything under the sun, and he should be the best at it. I think that phase is over, honestly, if you ask me, because I interact with a lot of parents. It still exists in maybe smaller pockets, but today parents are also more aware, and parents do understand this thought process that we need to let children, grow to be the best versions of themselves. So as schools, our philosophy has always been better your best. And my advice to parents who want to helicopter parent, be those helicopter parents and hover over their children all the time, you are only doing more harm than you can even imagine, because you are killing the creativity of your child. And innately, honestly, if you see, children are most creative, most happy, most carefree when they are around 5-6 years of age, okay, or below that, because till that time the parental control is only to their daily tasks. It's not really pushing them into many directions. It's as they grow older, if the parents start putting that kind of pressure on the children, you realize that before they reach the peak where they are supposed to blossom, they've burnt out. Because they've handled so many things and they're supposed to do so much. So my advice to parents is always go slow, be there for your child, push when it's the right time, push in the area that your child himself or herself shows an interest. Definitely provide them with multiple opportunities to explore the world. Today, again, I say we are very, very blessed. We can help our children see so many things, and children from privileged backgrounds definitely have so many opportunities. And even across the world, I mean, if you have the internet and you have a computer, you definitely are aware, right? And then you can search out the opportunities. So I personally feel parenting has to be balanced. I always tell my parents this: don't become your children's friends. Okay. They can have their own friends, but every child needs a parent. Even today, I wish I still had my parents around when I'm in a state of confusion, that, what do I do? Somewhere your parents, give you that voice of reason. So I always tell them, be the parent to your child. Please don't become their pals, because they have enough friends. Let them have their friends who will anyway give them a lot of advice and a lot of suggestions. But you be the parent and you be the sane voice, who's always trying to give them the best advice possible. And we all do agree that, nobody cares for children more than their parents. The investment in the children is very high. So I think the balance is the most important thing.
I had this discussion with my son a few days ago. We were driving together, and he was telling me something like, Dad, I think we were talking about like math homework for the summer or something like this. And he said like, I'm doing it because I'm doing it fast because otherwise you'll be upset. I said, was I ever upset when you didn't do homework? He goes, no, not really. But this is the problem. The problem is that I can see your feeling without you telling me anything. And therefore, I do things. I said, listen, since you were a tiny child, I always tell you that this is your responsibility. You always choose, not me. I'm there just to see you, but not to tell you what to do. But he goes, you should tell me what to do, because it's much easier when you tell me. I said, I will never tell you what to do. I will always be there, as a spirit, but I will never tell you left or right. This is always going to be, you. Advice to children in your school, and we're not talking about the little ones. I think that where I see kids now struggling is more when they are, like 13, 14. Well, they're the problem that we have now in the world. Everything is available. You don't grow into a certain path. You don't grow to replace your mom in the shop, right? And they are confused. And what do you advise them when they're feeling this confusion?
So, no, again, what I feel is like you rightly said, children are looking to adults to be kind of guided that, what should I do? What should I not do? But it's very, very important for us to teach them decision making. It is very, very important for us to teach them that the choices you make are going to impact something or the other in your life, right? So you choose this is going to be the action. You choose this is going to be the reaction. So it is very important, especially at the age of 13, 14, 15, for children, I think it's very important to let them explore, one, to let them make mistakes. It's all right. We have to be that safety net around them. Nobody is perfect, right? And children are going to explore a lot of things which may be good for them, which may not be good for them. Our job as adults is to be watchful, is to make sure they don't cross those safety lines, because physical safety, emotional safety, mental health, all of those are extremely important. So we definitely don't want our children being given so much of freedom that they are kind of getting into areas which may be dangerous for their own personal safety. So that safety net should be provided by the parents and the adults, but children have to be given the space. And really, I see so many youngsters who are extremely responsible and who are very, very careful and who are very good peer influencers, who will guide their friends correctly, or who will come up to an adult and say, like, my friend needs help. Could you reach out? Could somebody do something? So I think trust is a very important factor. The more you trust your children and they know that you trust them, they try to live up to that trust. So I feel that's important.
Yeah, it's interesting when we started BriBooks, and we made the platform available for children. The first asks that we got mainly from educators and for parents is like, what they should write about. Should they write about comedy? Should be a journal? Should be poetry? Should it be 75 pages or 750 pages? And my team at the early days, they were like, everybody's asking like for very clear guidelines. And I said, no, we will never provide clear guidelines. Even in the National Young Author Fairs, it's like you can write whatever you want. You can write 7-foot poem, and the book will be like this. Or you write 700 pages, and we had one child that wrote 700 pages, which was crazy. And this thing that you need to make the decision yourself, yes, and look into it again and again and share it with people and get the feedback and publish it, and then start selling your books and trying to promote it all by yourself. I think this is I knew it in advance. I knew that the most I actually remember it as a child when I wrote my first computer game. I was probably 13 and 14, and I got to a point that somebody bought it. That you sit with yourself and you say, okay, I will just use my imagination and my ability to write in order to evolve this into something tangible that have value that other people will want to use. And if I look at my self-confidence, it comes from there. And my parents were the enablers. That they didn't say, oh, why are you sitting and doing writing things like this? They say, oh, he's keeping busy. It looks interesting. And they allowed me to do that. So I think you're kind of merging this into the reality that I see, that I always say to parents, very much like you, I said there is like very clear lines, borders that you never cross. Like, yes, for example, violence, physical violence, verbal violence. If you touch this wall, you will get effect. Same thing on the other side. But in between those walls, do whatever you want. Like,
absolutely.
pluralism and all that. And then this actually brings all those things. Any last advice before we finish to either educators? Maybe we didn't speak about educator, so maybe like a last advice to an educator in their early journey of education. I'm sure you do it all the time, so.
So, I always tell my educators. So we call our educators as Shri Shikshaks, because at our schools we have a very strong value system. And it's a culture that we've created in our schools, where we want everybody to be people who are carrying those values as living values, right? So I always tell my educators that make sure that it becomes a part of you, so that when children are going to look at you, they should really feel, yes, this, when my teacher is telling me to be sensitive, she is also exhibiting sensitivity. If my teacher is telling me to be honest, then she is also exhibiting that integrity, So we tell children, do the right thing when nobody's watching. So I tell my teachers that then you should also be doing the right thing when nobody's watching. So it applies equally to us. We can't be, we can't think that, oh, we are the teachers, we are the preachers, we will, we are just going to give information. It no longer works like that. We are all facilitators. And truly, Ami, I really feel that I have learned so much from my children in various ways. And, our students, especially the senior ones, are highly empowered. They come up to us, they give us suggestions. Because the world is changing. They know sometimes so much more than we do. I mean, Instagram, I learned it from my student council, honestly. I didn't know how to do stuff on it. And they came to me, 3-4 of them, and they actually gave me a class that, you can do a reel here, a boomerang here, do this, various things. So I think we have to, as teachers today, be more open. We have a relationship with our students, which is again based on trust, with the boundaries like you described, that children should know those boundaries. Again, I always tell teachers, don't become a friend. You are their teacher, you are their guide, you are their advisor, you are there for them 100%, but they should not take you for granted. But be ready to learn together, be ready to explore this whole space, because a classroom, actually, if you look at it, is not 4 walls, isn't it? You carry that energy with you even when you go home. I mean, children go home and talk about school all of the time, and so do we. I mean, I am practically breathing, living, dreaming, I think, of my school and my children all the time. So I think it's important for educators to understand again that the world today demands people who are just there for children 100%. You want to make a difference, you want to be there, that whole commitment to ensuring that each child in your care figures out what is their potential first, then reaches that potential. You are in some way a catalyst to that process. You are not really you're not like the guide who's just giving advice. You are actually a part of that process, where you are a catalyst, and you kind of help them figure out, so that once they are young adults and once they're out in space, or once they're out there in the world, they are able to handle it as I'll say as a citizen who contributes, who is valued, who's a member of society, who's looked at with, yes, this is a good human being. That's what I think teachers. I think finally, whether it's the grades or the A+ or the placements in all the Ivy Leagues, and all of that is great. But for me, a child who goes out there and is acknowledged as a good human being, who is doing something for the world in a positive way, that is my success story. And I would want all educators to think like that.
I cannot agree more with you. And I think this is really, eventually, this is the bottom line of education, what's being in education. And, that's like, I will actually not add anything else, because it's spot on. Uttara, thank you very, very much for joining me, for teaching me.
Pleasure talking to you. Truly, and BriBooks is doing a great job. A lot of our children participate, and we're very, very happy. We have their published books displayed at our reception. Very proudly, they come up as young authors, and I think you all are doing a great service because the written word truly is something that kind of gives you a lot of confidence. When children are able to write and see their work and see others reading it and get that appreciation, not only does it give you confidence to write, I think it gives you confidence to think innovatively and creatively. So thank you to your team for that, and to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Namaste.
Namaste.